So we're going to talk about xeriscaping, right?
That's right.
All right.
So it's dry landscaping.
Okay.
Basically, it's gardening in a way that you have to use little or no irrigation.
Okay.
So we're trying to conserve water.
Yeah, something we don't have to worry too much about down this way.
Well, it's interesting. It's something I didn't think much about. Here in Memphis, although it's raining a lot right now,
Yeah.
we get these spring rains, but in the summer we might go weeks and weeks with no rain, and people are out there watering, and
You're right.
and we do have a lot of water here now, but you don't know, in 20 years, those aquifers might be getting low.
That's a good point. So how do we go about, understanding what xeriscaping is, though?
Well, so any kind of planting or any sort of gardening you can do that will require no water other than what is provided from nature.
Sure. Okay.
So actually my yard is, I was thinking about it today, and I have done a lot of xeriscaping without even realizing it because I plant a lot of natives.
Okay.
I don't water any of my flower beds.
Really?
Right. So once it's established, I don't water anymore. And they do really great because they're acclimated for our climate here.
Gotcha.
And our natives are well suited for going a month or two in the summer with just 90 or 100 degrees and no water.
Wow.
So in that sense, I'm doing xeriscaping already. But you can go even farther with your xeriscaping. And one of the key features that you see a lot that I think is very cool is a lot of gravel, a lot of boulders or rocks, different colors of rocks. Sometimes you see people stacking rocks to make little sculptures, like metal sculptures. And then the plants are almost your accent within that. And you have very little maintenance. And because you're adding in some natives, instead of maybe turf grass, you're actually going to increase your biodiversity.
How about that? Little maintenance. I think people like that.
Very little maintenance.
I think that's a good thing.
It's very cool.
So what kind of plants should you incorporate into
All right,
the
so
xeriscaping garden?
Okay, so I brought some great plants. Anything that's drought tolerant. So there's a lot of plants on planet Earth that would work well. But of course, I'm always pushing natives, and we do have some really great drought tolerant natives. So I brought some. I'm going to start with my very most favorite one. This one is called Rattlesnake Master.
Hey, okay.
I mean, with a name like that,
pretty
that's
cool name.
really awesome. And I actually, you'll have to show this here. I'm going to send you a selfie of me and my Rattlesnake Master at home.
Okay.
It's as tall as me. So that's why I took the selfie. So.
Okay.
It gets this really great sort of spiky ball at the top. And even though it's not a bright colored bloom, the bees and the butterflies flock to this thing when it's blooming. And you can see it is sort of a desert type plant. It's got these spikes, and it's a little bit like a yucca.
Yeah, she does look like one.
And it's just a really great native plant that a lot of people don't know much about.
Wow. And it attracts pollinators.
Oh my gosh, it's actually it's on a list of top pollinators along with things like mountain mint.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And some other things, let's see, then we have, of course, rudbeckias. There's a lot of rudbeckias that work really well with no water.
Okay.
As you can see, you'll see them coming up around the city in cracks of sidewalks. This is a Rudbeckia laciniata cutleaf coneflower.
That's nice.
Let's see, here's one of our only native salvias, Salvia lyrata. And this is a native or a natural occurring sort of, I don't know what you would call it, like a nativar, cultivar, that you can find in nature. It's this purple leafed version.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it adds a lot. Actually, if you want to keep it lower, you can cut off the stalks and it still adds a lot with the color of the leaves. Okay. But it does get a purple bloom too that attracts butterflies and hummingbirds as well.
So also a pollinator.
So that's, one of our only native salvias. We've got, this is a very cool one called Jewels of Opar.
Jewels of Opar.
Sounds very tropical and like from a fantasy land, but it's native to Memphis and the Mid-South. It's semi-succulent, so any sort of succulent stores water in its leaves, which makes it a perfect candidate for drought.
Look at that, though.
Yeah, and it gets these really amazing the tiny pink blooms. And another fun thing for kids, or for grown-ups, if you're me, once the flowers turn into the seed, it's like almost a little berry, and it will dry up, and you can squish it, and the seeds will just fall out, and then you can spread the seeds wherever you want. But
About that, okay.
yeah, that's a really great
That's
one.
interesting. Yeah.
Of course, the prickly pear,
Yeah.
our only native cactus. This
Only native.
Only native cactus. A lot of
that.
people just don't even know we have a native cactus, right? It gets an amazing yellow bloom. These pads are edible, and after it blooms, you get a fruit on it,
Yeah, I've
and
seen
that is
that.
also edible.
So it's edible.
So I think it's actually categorized as a shrub also, because they can get so massive.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't grow fast, so it's not like you have to worry about it taking over, but they can create quite a bit of height interest in your xeriscaping. Yeah.
So
love
all of
that
these
one.
plants that we're talking about are native to our area, though,
To the Mid-South,
To the
that's
Mid-South.
right.
Okay.
I've also got a primrose up here to add some color.
Yeah. I like
And
primrose.
this is the showy evening primrose. And it actually attracts, there's a moth that it attracts. Right, it's called a green banded day sphinx.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's really
banded.
amazing. Yeah. And so it's called an evening primrose because it opens generally in the evening.
Yeah.
So of course it attracts, instead of butterflies, it attracts moths.
Yeah. That's cool.
But it's usually still blooming in the morning for you to enjoy with your morning coffee as you're looking at your
That's good.
xeriscape.
Yeah.
Over here, ooh, watch out for the cactus.
Yeah, watch the cactus.
Vines aren't something you'd probably think of in xeriscaping, but this is Virginsbauer. It's a native clematis.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it has a lot of really cool names. You know, we talk about using botanic names because the common names can get confusing.
Yeah.
Here's some of the names for this thing. Smoke on a rope, devil's darning needles, devil's hair, love
hair.
vine, traveler's joy, wild hops, and woodbine.
Yeah.
It gets a nice white sort of like a smoke cloud little flower on it.
Okay.
It's similar to, I mean, it's a clematis. My favorite here in the flower arrangement is butterfly weed, which is a milkweed.
Yeah.
It's probably the most drought resistant of all of our native milkweeds. It can really take a punch in the summer. I mean, you can go months without watering it, and it just doesn't care.
Wow.
There are grasses that add a lot of interest in the xeriscape. This is switchgrass, and the one that I cut this from this morning was as tall as me. It's a very cool grass. Grasses are absolutely fantastic for birds. If you
Okay.
leave the seed heads on, the birds will eat from them all winter long.
Got it. It's
So-
beneficial.
Yeah.
These plants are.
There's so many great things to do here, and you can reduce your water bill,
Yeah.
save the planet,
Yeah.
not have to water, save
Yeah.
time.
That's pretty
So,
good.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this quickly, though. So how do you prepare the soil, for some
Oh.
of these plants that we're talking about?
Well, because these are all natives, I personally wouldn't do anything to
you
my
won't-
soil.
Okay. So no amendments or anything like that?
I wouldn't. Now, I also know that my soil is it's probably fine. But, you may want to add a little fertilizer once in a while. You can actually mix in some gravel or sand
Yeah.
for some of these plants. But the great thing about these plants is they really don't care what
Okay.
kind of soil they're in.
So what kind of soil? Yeah.
They don't seem to care. They're very low maintenance.
I think we like low maintenance. I think that's good.
Yeah.
So again, xeriscaping is what I'm going to call it, right?
That's fine.
So using minimal water.
Minimal water,
How about that? Okay.
or just what nature provides.
Oh, what nature provides.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for providing these plants, Jessie. That was good.
Yeah.
Thank you much. All right. Appreciate it.